Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Students, my name is Numair Ahmed Suleri, and today we will talk about strategic marketing planning under the subject Strategic Marketing Management MKT 609. In earlier lectures, we have concentrated about what is strategic management and what is marketing, and how strategic marketing is implemented in the organization. Today, we will talk about how it is planned inside the organization. Our outline for today's lecture will be about basics of marketing planning, and we will talk about what is marketing and what is marketing planning, and how strategic marketing planning is done in the organization. Then we will talk about how the analysis is performed for strategic planning uh, in terms of the customer, the company, the competition, and industry as a whole. We will talk about a few tools that are used for uh, strategic marketing planning. To accomplish today's activity, we will use the reading that is already provided to you, uh, and that is Strategic Marketing Management, Building a Foundation for the Future by Ellen F. Wysocki. This reading comprises of uh, the theory, basic theory that most of you already know. And the important thing is at the end of this reading, they have given certain tables. And these tables are the tools used to carry out the analysis inside and outside the organization. So these tables are numbered as 1, 2 onward. And in the text, they have mentioned how to use these tables. So let's start with the basis of the marketing, and that is the identification of customer needs, need to add value, and the need for firms to make a profit for long run. This is what marketing is framed. And under this, the organization talks about many different things. What are the needs? They identify it, how they can add value into this, and onwards. We'll talk about certain aspects of that in today's lecture. When we talk about marketing plan is a detailed written document communicated to different departments, and basically this document conveys how and what an organization wants from its operations to its customers. And marketing plan requires communication across different functional areas. These areas are procurement, operations, human resource, sales, shipping, and administration. So, marketing departments serve as a hub between the external customers and internal operations of the organization. When we talk about strategic marketing management and its planning, we have to talk about these four goals. And these goals are to select reality-based desired accomplishments, which are the goals and objectives of the organization. When these goals and objectives are selected, then the next step is to develop effective strategies for the organization. And under this strategy, allocation of resources for different operational changes. And when all these three steps are accomplished, it is to improve a firm's performance. So pretty much simple process, but when we do it thoroughly, we need to understand the company itself, its market, and its function. Let's talk about the strategic marketing management model. In the objectives, we have talked about the customers and the organizations. When we talk about strategic marketing, it is basically something that links these two areas to the final marketing planning. These two areas are the external analysis and internal or self analysis. When we talk about external analysis, we talk about three things: industry analysis, competitor analysis, and customer analysis. We will talk about these three things in today's lecture, and we will concentrate on these eight things for internal analysis and the rest of the process in upcoming lecture. So let's talk first about what is external analysis. External analysis are the things which are related to the things which are outside the four walls of the organization. And most of the time, these components are not in control of the organization or have little control. According to Ackerker in 1995, the external analysis has three main components: the customers, the competitors, and the industry. The customers are the markets for which company make different products, and the company needs to understand what its customer is. For developing that understanding, we need to analyze it first. Second portion is competitor, who are the people that are competing with the company, either directly or indirectly. Although the most of the concentration is about the direct competition, but indirect competition also counts. Then, most importantly, the industry in which the organization is active. As each industry is having different trends, the key success factors, and every industries can be identified according to the different opportunities and threats. And these threats and opportunities are the major competitive and change forces in the organization. These forces include distribution, the government related factor, economic and cultural factor, demographic scenarios, and information needs. So, when we talk about external analysis of these three players, we talk about identifications of opportunities and threats in external environment. Opportunities are something that are favoring the organization, and threats are something which may limit the company's capabilities. So understanding of both things are important. Remember, if the item being considered is belong to the control of firm X, then it's truly external, an opportunity or threat. So let's move on with how to analyze the customers. In marketing, we have talked about the unmet needs of the customer, which are delivered to the customer segments, and we do need to understand the motivation of the customers for these particular things. Let's first talk about what are these different things, and then we will go into the details of how analysis is carried on. Market segments are the potential segment for which the customer sells its product. Customer characteristics are the different motivations that customers desire or display while purchasing the products. The company should understand what are these different things to develop a sustainable competitive advantage for the market. And lastly, the unmet need may represent opportunities for dislodging the competitors from the market. Table one is developed to identify the opportunities and threat for the firm at the end of this reading. So first, let's have a look on this table one, and then we will move on to how it's done. So table one is the identification of customer segments and their marketing characteristics. So this table has four columns: the segments, the characteristics, hot buttons and unmet needs, O or T, which are opportunities and threats, and most importantly, the evidence. Why would you call it as opportunity or threat? If we talk about different customer segments, it is like either demographically, socially, or culturally different people, how they are and how they are not related to this. While filling this uh, table, we will talk about different segments of the customer, like age-wise, children, young, people between their 30s and 40s, and people more than 50 years of age. They can be customer segments for food. And when we talk about these characteristics, young children may like more sugar and salt. The people in their 30s may like certain things which are more healthy, and 50 that people like things which are prescribed by the doctors. When we talk about all these things, they can be an opportunity because if we talk about Pakistan, most of the people fall under the category of less than 32 years of age. So people working on food can capitalize on their capabilities if they are making products for young people. And the evidence can be from statistical bureau that more people are liking food with high sugar and salt, or less people are getting into the elderly age bracket. So this was about the customer segments and marketing characteristics. We will move on to the second part of our analysis, and that is the competitor analysis components. Every business has competitors, but understanding those competitors is of vital importance when we talk about strategic marketing. So while analyzing the competitors, we should ask ourselves four questions. Who are your competitors? What does each competitor do well? What does each competitor do poorly? And what can you learn from your competitors? By answering these four questions, you talk about the capabilities of your competitors and how those capabilities can be opportunities or threats for you in the market. To answer these four questions, again, table number 2 is given at the end of this reading, which indicates opportunity or threat. When we're talking about table 1, we have seen the table 2, which was again about the competitors. And when we complete this table, we will be able to answer those four questions that we have read in the theory. So these competitors are can be like X, Y, and Z, your three main competitors. And in those competitors, you talk about two things. One, which all of these three are doing well, and two, in which they can do better. So you basically try to identify the strength of your competitors, and then you try to match those things of your competitors with your capabilities by labeling them as an opportunity or threat. For example, if you're in food business, your competitor has developed something which is very popular and is in growth stage, then it can be a threat for your company in long term. On the other hand, if something that your competitors are doing but they are not the best in that, it can serve as an opportunity for your company. So by completing these two tables, table 1 and table 2, we can talk about our customers and our competitors with evidence that how they can prove as opportunity or threat. Our third table is related to the industry. Remember, when we have talked initially about strategic marketing management, we have talked about the external analysis has three components: industry, competitors, and customers. We have talked about competitors and customers, and now we will talk about industry analysis. This table is pretty much same. It's like listing the major trends and key success factors of your industry and then matching it against opportunity and threat with evidence. Let's first see what these things are theoretically, and then we will move on to the practical application of what these things are. When we talk about industry analysis, we have different tools to analyze the industry. But By identifying any tool, we majorly answer about four things. And four, these two primary objectives are to determine the attractiveness of various market, like your current market or potential market or your expanding market, and how these markets can be attractive or cannot be attractive for your company. The second objective is related to the better understanding of the dynamics in the market, and that is detection of effective strategies. And to accomplish these two objectives, we do a thorough industry analysis. And that industry analysis is for in four major components. As we have seen in table 3, they are major marketing trends and key success factors. Major marketing trends are the patterns that are changing in the marketplace. They may be like fashion trends or are certain needs that have emerged recently or are growing over the period of time. Second are key success factors, and these are the factors that are building the success for your industry. For example, if we talk about food industry, it is the availability of the product, the hygiene, the quality standard, the ingredients can be the key success factor in food industry. Third are and fourth point are related to competitive forces and change forces. The competitive forces help explain the potential in a particular industry. They include threat of entry, supplier and buyer power, and intensity of rivalry and substitute. And these competitive forces are taken from the framework of Michael Porter, where he explains the Porter five forces model. Then we definitely try to understand the changes when we talk about business, and these changes can be developed from these sources: the government, product or market innovations, economic issue, consumer trend, and information need. If a company understands all these factors of changes, it can evaluate them better. So as we have talked about that table 3 talks about first two parts of this industry analysis, and subsequently the part 3 and 4 are elaborated in table 4, in which a scale is developed for the assessment of external situation for the firm. By completing this, we compare internal strengths and external opportunities for the company and establish area of competitive advantage and competitive disadvantage for the firm. And thus our aim is completed, in which we talk about how we can address certain things for the company. So let's move again towards the end of this reading and see table number 3 and 4. We have talked about table 3 earlier on. Let me show you this table again, once again, and after that we will describe table number 4. So table 3 was explaining the first 2 points of industry analysis, and there were major marketing trends and key success factors. You label the top market trends and the most important key success factors, and then you try to identify whether these market trends are opportunity or threat for your company. Similarly, the key success factors, how those can be opportunities or threat for your company, and you do that with an evidence. Our last table in this discussion is table number 4, which seems pretty much extensive, but this table has all the questions from Michael Porter theoretical framework. He have talked about 5 factors, and those were potential entry, supplier power, buyer power, potential substitutes, and rivalry. Together, these 5 forces are called as Porter 5 forces model, and theoretically he says when we try to understand the dynamics of an industry to enter or not, we try to evaluate according to these 5 forces. So let's talk about the items and how they can be measured in this table through this 5 forces model. The competitive forces, as we have talked about are these 5, and they are measured from a scale starting from 1 to 5. 1 is more threat and 5 is more opportunity. So 1 is bad, 5 is good. If you want to put it like this way, if a company is feeling bad about certain force, you can call it as threat. And if they think they are confident that it is better, it will be difficult. Let's talk about the items. Potential entry. How difficult it is for the firm to enter in your market. If it is easy, that means more and more competitors can enter, and that is a threat. If it is like very difficult, like in case of urea or power generation, it is difficult in Pakistan to enter in that particular industry. So that can serve as an opportunity, and you can stay in your competition for a longer period of time without having any potential entry. Second question, how many options exist for discouraging new firms from entering your market? And that is very few options, and discouragement, that is many things that can discourage the entry, like legal pursuits, a licensing requirement, or other barriers. Capital formation can be as the difficulties which are discouraging new entrants. The second force is supplier power. How much bargaining power do your suppliers have? If they have much, it's a threat. If they have little, then it's an opportunity. How many options exist for lessening the supplier power? If they are few, that means supplier power will decrease in the future. If they are many, then that means it is an opportunity and you can stay with those options in the long term. After supplier, they are your customers. Most importantly, we have talked about the whole section, but when analyzing the industry, you should analyze how much bargaining power do your customers have. There are certain industries in which your customers are very demanding. That is a threat. You will have to do a lot to satisfy your customers. But if it is like little, whatever you are making is fine. That is in terms of if you are selling commodities, it's like much more or less the same product, so their buying power is little. But if you're selling jewelry or other things which are unique, then your buyers have little power to negotiate. How many options exist for lessening buyer powers? If there are few, then that is threat for the company, because company cannot decrease the buyer power. But if there are many options available to decrease your buying buyer power, like your distributors or negotiation or product change, innovation, then your buyers cannot exert a lot of power on manufacturer or the company. The last two items are potential substitutes and rivalry. Substitutes. If your products can be substituted easily, that means there is a lot of options that exist for potential substitutes, and that is a threat. But if the alternatives the buyers have are very few, that is an opportunity for the firm. Next question is, how many ways exist for improving your value to the customers? And if they are very few, then it's a threat. But if there are many ways to improve your value to the customers, that is a potential opportunity for the company. They can improve their product, they can improve their market share, and build sustainable competitive advantage. How many options exist for increasing customer loyalty? If you can increase your customer loyalty in many ways, it's an opportunity. But if you cannot increase your customer loyalty, it's a threat. Then rivalry among the existing competitors is also a source in Porter Five Forces model. And to measure that, we have to answer these three questions, which includes level of intensity in rivalry between the competitors. If it is high rivalry, it's a threat. If it is low rivalry, that the companies work together in that industry, it's an opportunity. You might have seen the cartels in cement industry, in sugar industry, where the manufacturers get together to increase the price of their product. And that is, the rivalry is less and the threat is low, rather an opportunity. How strong are these competitors relative to your firm? If they are strong, if you are strong, then it's an opportunity. If you are weak, it's a threat. Question number three, how many options exist for taking on these competitors head to head? If that is many, it's an opportunity. If it's less, it's low. And last, how many options exist for selecting areas of marketing are not so competitive. If few, it's threat, and if it's a lot, it's many. So, students, we have talked about the basis of marketing plan and the customer, company, and competition for performing the analysis. In next lecture, we will talk about how these things work together for understanding how you can get better in long term under strategic marketing planning. So thank you for now. Khuda Hafiz.